Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're safe and healthy. So I wanted to do another video. I didn't know when I would record a new one after my first experience, but here I am. And I want to talk to you about fear because many of us are scared right now. And I think it's important to deal with fear, to know how to handle it, and to possibly overcome it. So fear is an emotion that is useful, or at least used to be. So per se, there's nothing wrong with fear. In ancient times, humans needed fear in order to not be eaten by wild animals. So it used to be useful in a sense that it was a warning. It was about the fight or flight response. The problem is that with modern society, there are all these other sub fears that were created that, in my opinion, are completely useless and are actually hurting us a lot. And I'm talking about the fear of missing out, the fear of being judged, the fear of not being good enough. So all these fears are useless. And it's true that the coronavirus awakened the fear of survival, so that ancient fear that I talk about. And so there's that, and there are all these sub fears that I just mentioned together. And so this creates like a compound effect, like a really powerful effect that for some people, it's like it becomes like chronic anxiety. And some people already had issues with anxiety and fear. And so as you can see, it becomes like a really powerful combination. Most of the times when we talk about fear, other than the wild animals, it's something that we can't control. And so when it's something we can't control and we have this anxiety coming in, it's completely useless. It just hurts us. So right now, like psychologists agree that what's going on is the fear of survival related to the coronavirus is awakening things that were maybe hidden in your past, or little fears, like little traumas that you had in your past and you thought they were gone and that they're coming back. So many of us are experiencing this like flow of different fears and anxieties that are coming back. And that is something that we have to learn how to deal with, and especially in times like this when it becomes overwhelming. So I read a book by a scientist who was talking about how he was in New York during the Twin Towers, during what happened in the Twin Towers, and there was a clear blue sky that day. And every time there is a clear blue sky right now, his mind takes him back to that trauma that he lived. So this is to say that the center of our emotions in our brain is called the amygdala. I don't know if you're familiar with it, you can read more about it. So the amygdala picks up these signals and it stores them. And so if you had something in your past maybe, or like, again, you have chronic anxiety, you have these like triggers, right? But some of them you may be more aware of and some others you might be not. And so the amygdala knows these signals and it takes you back to moments where you don't want to be. So essentially the idea is that I think this time is also a time where you might want to face these fears and instead of escaping or looking for a distraction, because distractions are great. You can watch a movie, you can clean the house, you can listen to music, but it's like a short-term solution. So if you really want to overcome fear, you're gonna have to find a relationship with it and accept it, and give this fear space inside of you. So the idea is like this video is about empowering you and telling you that you can do it. You can overcome fear. I just want to say that if we're talking about in your life you had like big traumas and things like that very serious, you might want to look for help. But for all of us, like people with chronic anxiety, or like things that are still manageable, but are still like affecting our quality of life, I think there is a way to overcome this fear and anxiety that mainly again was created by our modern society. And so again, I'm not here to preach. I've been working with this method, so I hope it can help you too. So the idea is that when fear and anxiety comes, you become an observer of that fear, because what happens usually is when fear and anxiety comes, it takes over. It takes over our mind, our emotions, our body, the heart starts to race, all these things that like take over, and we are not ourselves anymore. And this happens because we identify with fear and anxiety. And so this technique is about like taking a step backward and look at, you know, the fear and anxiety when it comes. And there's no magic wand. It's something that, you know, needs practice. So if it doesn't work the first time, try it again. So fear resides somewhere in our body. All of us have like a weak point where when there is fear and anxiety, these feelings go somewhere in the body. And the idea is that as you take a step backward and look at what is going on, you start to realize and understand these patterns that fear and anxiety has on you, the way it affects you. So essentially, like, you should let fear in. So instead of, next time it comes, instead of rejecting it or escaping or trying to find a distraction, breathe into it. Breath is an amazing tool that, you know, you've heard many times. Take a long breath. Do it also when it's about fear and anxiety. And then consciously try to just analyze what is going on in your body. What do you feel? Do you feel like a heavy weight on your shoulder? Do you feel like kind of a headache coming, like a stomach ache? You know, what is it? Like, as you start to analyze and investigate what fear does to you, you take power away from fear. So again, this doesn't change from a day to the other, but it gives you an opportunity to create a relationship with fear and not let fear drive you. And so the idea is that with time you can create a relationship with fear, and you can almost give it a name, you know, whatever name you want. Like if fear was an unwanted guest, you know, you have to deal with this guest, and then you can send this guest away, and maybe it's gonna come back, you know, like, but still, especially if it's part of your family, you know, but you still have to deal with this person. So next time it comes, you'll be more aware of the pattern. You'll start to feel what's going on in your body. You'll breathe into it, and you become more in control. You know, as you develop this relationship with fear, you take power away from fear. And next time it comes, it will still be there, but it will last. The episode will last less. You know, it's not gonna be so scary. You're just going to be able to gain more control over it. So this is the idea. Become an investigator. Try to see what is going on at the body level, especially. And then, you know, do this every time that fear comes. And again, give it a name. And then when it comes, you can say, oh, here he or she is again, you know, and with time, it's gonna really help, and you're gonna know exactly when fear comes, what you're gonna learn, the triggers to, you know, you're gonna start to just be more aware and get to know yourself better. I've been doing this, and I can tell you it works, and it works for everybody. If you feel you can do it on your own, there's always help available, but, you know, sometimes, you know, it costs money. So, you know, it's about what you want to do, and you know, if you need help, external help, please ask for help. But this video is about empowering you. You can handle fear and overcome it. And also remember that every emotion, so fear included, is temporary. A spiritual teacher that I really like, her name is Tara Brach, And she says that we are the ocean and emotions are waves. So they come and go. So just know that fear is not there to stay, but your job is to reduce the episodes. And with time, it'll come back, but you'll be more relaxed. You'll know how to handle it. You'll know it will go away. The last thing that I want to tell you is that in my previous video, I talk about how during meditation, I feel I can connect with like a spiritual wisdom, or like I call them my spirit guides. You can call it your deep intuition. And I receive messages, and you can say, oh, but they're your thoughts, they're not messages. Yes, that's an interpretation. But to me, I recognize them as messages because the wisdom in them is like, is a lot, and I don't think it comes from my mind. So talking about fear, recently during a meditation session, the message I receive is, if you look at fear in the eyes, it crumbles. And that's exactly what this process is about. It's about finding a relationship with fear, looking at it. And this is the process. And again, there's no magic wand, but I just want to empower you to try and do this on your own. Before maybe asking for external help, just try it out. Like, the first time doesn't work, try it again. Breathe, find the fear in your body. Next time you'll be more powerful. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Stay healthy and safe.